In today's In-Depth, we're talking about the NFL concussion settlement. The league set aside $750 million to cover health costs for former players dealing with head injuries. It isn't all good news, though. There are accusations of cheating coming from both the players and the league. Our Al Rochelle sat down with two local attorneys to learn more.
Joining me today, I have two attorneys, and we're going to talk about the NFL concussion case, a very important case. Steve Garrett, who we've had on before. Thank you so much, Steve, for showing up. And Jim Holliday, also an attorney. Let's just set the ground rules on this. We're talking about the NFL concussion settlement. NFL agreeing, yeah, players that play can have brain injuries, so we set aside $765 million to cover the costs for traumatic brain injury as a result of playing in football. Steve, take it away from there.
Well, first of all, $756 million, did you say? Let's take off the top the lawyers that engineered this settlement, which we weren't a part of, and I wouldn't have been a part of. They peeled off $112 million for their own fees.
So it's not very much. Now,
So,
you're representing how many players?
143. We've represented 143. Jim was kind enough to associate me as the lead lawyer in the clients that he represented. The clients that I took on were taken on after the lawyer that represented them got killed tragically at a young age in a plane crash. So I wasn't involved at the beginning.
Okay, so there have been autopsies that were done on 111 players who died of injuries. Some of them were brain-related, others may not have been, but of the 111 that were autopsied, what did they find?
110 of them had brain damage. So the presumption should be, for any reasonable person, that players with prolonged exposure to football, which is a violent sport, sustain brain damage over a period of time. But instead, this is the topsy-turvy world we're in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, before this judge, this federal judge who was appointed for life. I think she's been on the bench 40 years.
Okay.
So they probably had leather football helmets back when she started. But,
yeah.
The bottom line is something's wrong with the system. The system that was created and designed to help these players, in 2014 the settlement occurred. We got involved in 2016, but in 2014, when the settlement occurred, the promise was we're going to help these old, mentally impaired, brain-injured players because they gave their careers for the Shield, right?
Right.
Of 143 players, do you know how many have received a dime?
How many?
0.
So is stalling a tactic that can legally be used by the NFL?
Well, I'm going to turn it over to Jim in just a second, but I can tell you overall, looking at this, and I've had quite a few cases, as you know, Al.
Yeah.
I was shocked because it's not just stalling. It's, the players call it delay,
and the
until
longer
you
they
die.
delay, the worse the disease gets and people die.
Well, people know brain damage. That's how it works.
Jim, tell me the story of Scott Brantley, because you guys are also representing him.
Right. So Scott came into the office. He had been treating for dementia way back to 2007, long before there was even this idea of a concussion settlement. Diagnosed with dementia with objective MRIs, SPECT scans, objective scientific evidence of damage to his brain.
And medication.
And on medication. The most troubling thing about this claim, because this claim was denied, is that his own team records with the NFL show that he suffered multiple concussions during games with memory loss and amnesia. It's in their own records. So if they deny him, everybody's in trouble.
Oh, you might want to add, and I'm sure he'll supplement this, but he's on full Social Security disability. Why? Because of brain injury.
Right.
So it is ironic that the government and the NFL itself can say he has brain damage. He wasn't just denied, Al. He was denied for Alzheimer's and any brain impairment. Oh, and the reason of his denial is even more shocking. Because he had a radio show for 3 hours a day, this is according to the NFL, 3 hours a day, and a Florida driver's license that showed he couldn't have Alzheimer's. Well, unfortunately, you know, it's good to get your facts right. In my cases, I make sure the facts are right. First of all, he hadn't had a show in multiple years.
Yeah. And
secondly, it was a once-a-week show. He was a celebrity, come in for 2 or 3 minutes. The fact that he has a Florida driver's license, I think we get him for 8 years here. In other words, they're frivolous excuses.
Okay, a couple of questions the public's going to ask. First of all, who on earth signed off on $765 million when they knew that this many players might be coming for claims? Who signed off on that?
So basically, there's a class counsel named Chris Seeger, and he represents the whole class. He has a fiduciary duty to all the players, and he was the lead lawyer who made the settlement.
Okay, why so little? Why didn't he shoot? I mean, when you did the tobacco settlement, you shot for the ceiling, 11 billion and plus here and there.
Actually, it was 13 billion, but it was small change. You know.
Okay, but why didn't they go for a bigger figure, knowing that there were this many players that had the potential? I mean, you would think that they would do that just in case. Why? Why didn't they go for bigger numbers?
I'll speak to that first. I just want to tell you that I think that they probably underestimated the magnitude of the exposure.
Right.
That's the first thing. Secondly, they set up a system which seemingly had time deadlines, which is user-friendly. Unfortunately, the system they set up had traps, I don't think intentional traps, but traps within it which allows unlimited amounts of time to pass while these gentlemen are waiting for their payday. So they have, for example, I'll give you an example. We had 2 players approved in August of last year. Mm-hmm. They still haven't been paid. They now have put them into, quote, an audit process.
Okay, now let me step back again. So somebody gets approved for it, let's say they die. Then is the NFL, we don't have to pay it?
Sorry. Well, maybe the survivors will get some money someday, but John Reeves was a friend of mine.
Yeah.
John Reeves was a great quarterback.
Right.
We all know him in the Tampa Bay area. He played for Robinson High School.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Went on to play quarterback for a number of years in the NFL. The last time I saw John was 8 days before he passed. He was on the way to a pharmacy. He looked like a 90-year-old man.
Okay,
He's
what
dead.
are you seeking? What are you trying to do? You're going to go back to court? You're going after the NFL? And because you represent so many of these players, are you going for a settlement that would cover all of them? Or is this going to be a case-by-case, which inevitably would also be dragged out, which inevitably means that some of these people will die?
Well, we're not entitled to represent anyone other than the 143 players first.
Okay. Well,
Secondly, I don't like losing situations. This is a losing situation because what Jim will tell you has happened is throughout, since I got involved in the case, there have been 3 hearings. We have not had a voice, and you know yourself, if you don't have a voice at the table, you don't have a voice.
Why not? Why haven't you had a voice?
Because Mr. Seeger is the only person that this particular federal judge recognizes as being able to speak to this issue. The private lawyers are being accused of everything from non-compliance to fraud. I mean, it's become quite ridiculous.
Okay, so Jim, what's the next step?
So, in Scott Brentley's case in particular, what's amazing is that they denied his claim on facts that are not true, and then they put his claim into an audit, meaning we're now looking for a reason to support the denial we didn't have before. And the claims administrator has no deadline to get back to us.
Zero.
He's in a quagmire, a legal limbo. They have no responsibility to get back to us at any time, which is unbelievable that that's part of the settlement.
Okay, people are going to look at the legal system and they say, regardless of what you've done, it's really broken. There's no common sense to what's going on here. People our lives are at stake. I can't even use the words on the air of what's happening to these people. And this is so wrong. This is something that should go back to the beginning again and say, no, we're not going to stand for this.
Hold on, let me tell you what needs to happen. People like Jerry Jones, owner of the Dallas Cowboys, people like the Glaziers here, that Scott Brantley played for 8 years, those are owners. They're billionaire owners.
Right, yeah.
What they need to do is the right thing. They need to tell their lawyers, hey, let's quit the gamesmanship. Let's quit the playing. Let's take care of the people we said they were going to take care of. Because they got all that publicity for doing the right thing. Money is doing the right thing. So they have only approved 1% of the players claiming dementia. 1%.
Yeah.
99% they're rejecting.
And last question for you. Why not, wouldn't it be cheaper just if they offered players health insurance for life? I mean, overall? If you do that and then you play the odds, you're going to come out on the top anyway if you do it that way.
Health insurance is not going to help these people die well.
Oh, boy. Yeah,
one thing I would tell you is that Scott Brantley has qualified for what's called the 88 plan, which is an NFL disability plan for dementia. The NFL has already said, you have dementia and here are the benefits to treat for it. And yet they denied his claim.
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy. Gentlemen, you're going to come back to us shortly and give us some more updates on this situation as we follow. But a lot of it in the Bay Hill area love Scott Brantley, have for years, and just feel for...
It's just a sad story, and I got to tell you, it's a travesty.
I know.
It really is.
We
don't quit. We're not done with them.
I know that about you, Steve. For years I've known that. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Scott.
it.